Hello, Accelerators organization. If you're watching this live, hope you're having a wicked day. And if you're watching it on the replay as well, I'm having an excellent day. We've got blue skies. We've got a weekend coming ahead, and I'm going to spend with my family. And yeah, business is good. There's a little talk in some people's ears about a recession, but I'm not seeing it at all. So I'm doing well, and I hope your business is doing well. So, just jumping into some questions right away. Super excited about these questions. The first one is from Ricardo. He's got Premium Barbershop, and his question is, where should I build my website so customers, future employees can see what we do? And I see websites where people can apply for jobs. How do I start with this? And that's a great question. When I built my original website, uh, the number one thing I wanted on it was jobs because I'm a headhunter, right? I mean, you're a barbershop and you want to have more barbers, you want to have some support staff. So really, it's one of the key things you really want in your website is having a careers page, but also having your customers see your website. You know, if they're Googling you, are they going to a Google review page or Google Maps, or are they going to a website where you've got some of your top cuts? My buddy's got a barber shop here in town. I love what he does, and I admit I haven't been on his website too much. But the things I'd recommend personally is go for a WordPress website, get somebody to professionally design it. You know, at the very least, you can do something on Fiverr for a few $100s, and get a good WordPress theme that you like that can upload images, especially if you're a barbershop and you want to easily try and put those good images up, and maybe do it in tandem with your social media, right? If you're big on Instagram or Facebook, whatever the channels that you really use for your customers, have that also upload to your website and kind of have that be the original place where you put that original content of good images, maybe talking about the type of fades or haircuts that you do or shaves. Um, because when people Google your town, it should definitely feature your town or your city or your neighborhood where your barbershop is or where your business is. You really want them to be able to Google barber, Connecticut, or barber, Washington or Seattle, but really kind of dig down and make sure your local spots are listed there along with those images, because you really want those kind of coming up in Google search. And I like WordPress. Some people talk about other platforms. Easy to find developers for WordPress and have really good themes that don't cost too much. You don't need to do a whole bunch of spend. You know, you might spend about $200 on a couple of WordPress themes. If you're doing a really complicated job board, you can use, I think, WP Jobs or WP Jobs plugin, and you'll see that they have reviews and people should rate them kind of on a 5 star. Same with themes, and you're looking for one of the ones that's kind of got that 4 to 5 stars, and pay a few dollars for that, 40 or $50. There are some free ones as well that are really good, but make that investment, I would say. And then if you need a really good WordPress developer, website SEO person, there's probably somebody in the Accelerators organization you get to do your site with, because you really want somebody who can grow with you. If you choose Fiverr, that's between you and your budget. But if you get somebody who's growing their business, you might be able to lock in and just spend a few $100s a month and have them always be there for you to count on to kind of take that stress away. So definitely build that website with something that can be updated regularly. So definitely have your careers section, but also your images or your social media kind of feeding to that as well. Now, this next question comes from Kristen. What is the goal and timeline to start paying yourself an income out of your business? Now, this is super important. I remember when I started my business, I sold my gas guzzling truck, bought a car on credit, 0% financing, and I had that 10,000 bucks in my jeans, so to speak. And yeah, I definitely didn't pay myself very much. I had some savings, so I was paying my rent with that. Going to the library, keeping costs low. Didn't have an office to start, but definitely my goal. I should have written it out how much I want to pay myself and at what stages, and then you can work back and really get your pricing in place, right? So, um, if you don't need profits right away and you've got more savings, you can start to really invest in marketing and pay that extra amount to like grow your sales. But really, your plan should be, where do I want to be in income, right? If you plan to have kids in a couple of years, you want to buy a house, you want to buy a plane, like put those big dreams down on paper and say to yourself, okay, what sort of profit margin do I have to charge, and what sort of sales? How do I increment those sales? And really put that vision to say, I want to be making, $1 million in 10 years, right? I want to be taking that money out of my business. Okay. So what am I going to have to charge? How many sales I'm going to have to get, and what are my margins going to be, right? Don't have to make it super complicated. So if you just want to get to that $100,000 in income, and you're 50% margins on your product, that's how many you're going to have to sell, and how long are you going to have to take to get to that. Definitely recommend making sure that you know that number, because you don't want to be 6 months, 2 years down the road and saying, oh man, I can't pay myself. If you're going to investors and they say, well, how much are you paying yourself? And you say, oh, I'm paying myself nothing. You see that sort of thing on Shark Tank or other places. They laughed, not out of kind of embarrassment. Is they're worried about you getting paid, right? A good entrepreneur knows when they're going to get paid. So kind of work that into your cash flow budgets and say, yeah, so I've got to sell X numbers of services or X numbers of products over the next 6 months, 1 year, in order to get me to where I'm cash flowing enough that I can pay myself $3, $4, $5, $6,000 a month, and then also know that target where you want to be in 1 year, 3 years, and 10 years, right? Because even if you decide to sell and you're not really at that point, you can say to the person who's looking at buying your business, this is where we're going, and here's when we're going to get there. And that's appealing to somebody who's looking at buying your business. So put that timeline down, work out your cash flows. If you need help with that, there's definitely going to be calculators online. Work to build a business plan, but work on those cash flow sheets, and plan and dream big, right? Because it might seem like, oh, I'm just hustling for my next sale. But if you're going to get to where you want to be, where you're really getting paid, you're going to need other expertise and really building that. Next question comes from Joe. How do I determine what KPIs to set for a new marketing rep I'm about to bring on to track activities? So I'm going to go in a little bit into the background here, Joe, because I'm not sure the job title you've brought to me is the correct one or not. There's some differences between a marketing rep and a sales rep, right? And what they do and what key personal indicators, KPIs, you're going to give that person. So Joe runs a home inspection business in Naples, Florida. My grandparents had a place in Naples, Florida. Love it. A little quieter. Let's just say when I was a young kid, the average age, I think, was about 70 or 80. But, lovely, beautiful spot in Naples. So you need to bring on a marketing rep to grow your business. Okay. They'll be doing outreach to spheres of influence like real estate agents, brokerages, to try to get them to send your property inspections as opposed to current vendors. So you're looking to build relationships with people who are going to give you referrals, and you really want to track their results. How would you go about doing that? So it seems to me that you're looking for more of a sales rep rather than marketing. So when I think of marketing, it's about presenting materials either in paid advertising or in SEO that will bring people to you, that marketing activities that bring people to you. Part of it might be building some marketing materials and sending it out to the real estate brokerages, keeping them top of mind, providing some swag, which is like pens or, some really great coffee mugs. So when their customer says, oh, who should I use as an inspector? Oh, I got Joe the Home Pro. I got his mug, and it's branded there. I was actually looking at getting some branded mugs done up recently. So I think you're really looking for a sales rep who's going to be able to track those referrals. So one of the things that makes it easy to track is using something like HubSpot, a CRM, customer relationship management system. HubSpot's got a free one, um, and he can track how many people get into that system and how many contact points that they have with that person, right? So if they have a call, they can make notes of the call. And a really important thing about this is it's your first hire. It might work out and help you grow to 1 million. It might not, but having a record of who they called and when and what the results were will really help if somebody else has to pick that up, if you have to do a rehire. So I'd recommend putting a CRM in place and tracking those KPIs through that. Somebody like HubSpot, they're great at marketing, so they'll have some KPIs for sales rep or business development reps, or there's other acronyms they'll use for it, SDRs, sales development reps. So you can use that to figure out what to track. But the key things that I like to say is how many conversations, right? So it's one thing to email somebody and spam them. I get emailed a ton, right? But it's also different to actually have a two-way conversation that's more than, no, I'm not interested in your services, or a one-way conversation where it's just sent out to them. So really tracking when they get on the phone with somebody, when they have a coffee with somebody, and talk about your services and really kind of present it, right? So I'd be looking at conversations, whether or not they open up something that you send them. So if or your team member sends them. So if you send a PDF on like the top 3 things that you can find in home inspections, or in Southern Florida or Southwestern Florida, what are the big things to look out for? Top 3 pests that homeowners should worry about. Do they open it, right? So if you're sending it to your real estate reps or real estate firms that you're hoping to get referrals from, how many of them are actually opening that document? And HubSpot, a lot of email trackers will do that. I use GMass as well. I think they've got a free thing where you might be able to send about 50 emails and they'll track whether or not it's open. They'll send a reminder to the person. Hey, did you receive that email? Just wanted to touch base with you. Hey, did you receive my email? I'd love to book a time with you here in my calendar. Or if you have free time on Tuesday next week, I'd love to give you a call, right? So my KPIs are how many meetings you have. And those meetings are, two-way conversation. It's not, oh, I don't have time to talk, or I'll look for a time to talk. It's actually when you talk a little bit about their needs. Hey, how many new clients are you seeing every week? What are the biggest issues you see homeowners have when they're looking to find a home inspection? So really asking some of those probing questions that help you understand how you're going to service their customers, so that on that referral basis. So yeah, KPIs, really, I like those conversations, and are they opening up your materials? And then the other thing is he asking for the sale? In the case of Joe, he's asking for referrals to the real estate customers who are buying, right? So what are you tracking as far as a conversion, and are they asking for that conversion? It's like touching base with the realtor. He works for Remax. Asking him, does he have any closing deals coming up? How many active buyers does he have? Could I send you some pamphlets for your open house, right? What are the things that are actually getting into the hands of those end buyers, right? So really thinking about your whole sales process and what really gets them to convert. Like, is it the day they make an offer? Whether or not they text or call you to get that home inspection. So think about that end goal in mind, not just spamming people, not just calling and leaving voicemails. Those are important, but not as important as actual conversations in my mind. Next question is from Trent. How can I get more traffic to my website? I love this. We get thousands and thousands of visits to our website. Only a few of them are worth money, but the lifetime value of a customer in my business in recruitment can be $250,000, $500,000, $1 million, right? We've had customers that have spent $500,000 with us, and they're still like, we've got about $100,000 with one customer that's in the pipeline. They've made orders, but we've got to convert on those, right? So that traffic to our website is super important. I think I got that one from outbound, but we get other big customers through our website. Pepsi, um, who else? Yeah, lots of big customers come through our website. Um, Cummins, big diesel manufacturer, different Caterpillar dealers. Yeah, they all come through our website. So it's really great to have a good website and get the traffic for it. So the question is being asked because he's using email marketing, which he's sending to prospective clients working on commercial real estate. So he's sending about 70 emails a day to dentists in the area. So he's got a niche. Always important to try niching and finding a section of um, possible clients that you really know how to work with really well, and really trying to track who's emailing, who's opening the emails and visiting the site. And he's doing a follow-up call. Great. So he's probably using an email tracker such as a CRM like HubSpot or GMass or any number of those marketing tools. But he'd like to learn how to direct more dentists to his site using Google, Facebook, or other tools. So how do I get that traffic? One of the ways I think really works well these days is setting up Facebook groups. So obviously Sean's an expert in that. I've got a probably half dozen Facebook groups. Some I manage personally, but others my team manages. And a big thing you can do is kind of like a two-step is like if your geographic area is the city of Denver and you're looking for dentists in Denver, maybe start a Facebook group similar to another city Facebook group that you find that looks to be really good and active, right? So it could be, I don't know. I'm going to actually choose an example from the next question. Sean has a boat business where he helps consumers buy recreational boats. So actually doing like boating Seattle, right? Facebook group or Pacific Northwest boating, right? So you're going to have to think of something like that, but more on the commercial side for dentists, right? So, you know, dentist chinwag or something. So you're going to have to really think about that if you're going to build a Facebook group. So definitely I would use that, but also think about different Facebook marketing. You can do advertising, you can do geographical advertising, and look for interests as you're doing that. So there might be a Facebook advertising expert in this group. So try and follow them, try and learn a little bit, look at those good groups. And you can just do that paid advertising as well on Facebook. But I see lots of bad advertising on Facebook. So, I hesitate on investing too much money unless you kind of find somebody who's an expert and follow them on that. Google is huge. Content. So definitely developing some dedicated web pages and or blogs related to dentists in your area and office space, leasing, doing tenant improvements. What are the top 3 things to look for in a lease? You know, why are leases so hard to get out of? And the 5 things dentists should look for in new office space, right? So building those specific market materials that you can also send out to help get those open rates up on your direct messaging, but also if you're using your city somewhere in that article, your website has your city posted and you're actually titling them well, definitely dedicated articles or frequently asked question type of question and answers on your website will really help. And then images and videos, right? A lot of people are going to be doing that text Q&A. So if you actually jump on your phone and do a quick, hey, I just had a great meeting with one of my dentist clients. He's got, 4 people on his team and he's looking for 500 square feet or, 2,000 square feet, 10,000 square feet. Here's what we really worked on to find them. And here's the amazing place. And you actually pan the camera around and you look out my window and you can see mountains here. And I'm actually kind of in the penthouse overlooking a nice pub and stuff. So really getting those images out and getting them on your website is super important. So you might have to choose Vimeo or another video hosting where you can actually track those opens and watches as well, right? Because if you see you've got one for another region, so maybe a different part of the city, or another area close by, and you can see one of your dentists has um, open that video and watch that video, and you get an alert back to your CRM. You can drop them a direct message and say, hey, I know you're on our website and you're looking at things in the South Dallas area. Love to chat with you and grab a coffee about some of the nice office space in that area, and just see how your practice is doing, right? Because you're focused on real estate, but you're building a relationship. So also kind of keep the door open to not only worrying about real estate. It's their leasing needs. It's any of the number of things, of tenant improvements, things that those people who are making those investments will want to learn from an expert. Yeah, and definitely using Google Maps. A lot of people kind of underutilize their, I think it's a Google business listing on Google Maps. Yeah, so if you look at your Google business listings, make sure you have some images on there. Try and get some recommendations from past clients, current clients, and then do the same for Apple Maps. My mom doesn't have Google Maps on her phone. There might be a dentist who just, he's got no time to download Google Maps onto his Apple phone. So have Apple Maps. Make sure your company is on there, and have some reviews on there as well. So definitely use those channels, and then hopefully your CRM will track those. All right, that's enough about dentistry. Let's go back to Sean. He's got Blackwater Marine Repair. I was on his website. Love it. One of my passions is boating. I've got a YouTube channel related to Fishing Means Business. Feel free to check it out, but you don't have to. Now, I need some direction on marketing and Google Ads or search results. You do boat sales and engine repairs. So I love this business. I'll reach out to you offline, Sean. Happy to spend 15 minutes, 30 minutes BSing over a Zoom, and then hopefully getting out fishing sometime, or getting out boating sometime, if that's your passion. But if you spend all your time on boats, you might not want to. But the number one thing for marketing of boating is the dream, right? I'm sitting here in my office. The weather is great. I know this weekend's coming up. It's going to be hot and sunny, almost 100 degrees, and the cool place to be is on the water, right? So I think you're selling the dream of being on the water, not having, all the things about. So to me, the big thing is images of boats, images of motors, and images of people having good times on the water, and videos, right? So that to me is the number one thing that kind of gets people excited about getting their boats fixed up. And then also that Q&A part as well, right? So on your website, having, how do I change my impeller, right? Which is a technical thing that only boat people are actually going to search for. Or, top places to get your boat repaired in Galveston, Texas. Top three, or best boat repair places in Seattle, right? Or, how do I install a Seakeeper? One of my clients, that's what they've got on their website is a Seakeeper. It's the thing that actually keeps boats from being really bouncy and people getting really sick. It's a really high-end item that people pay tens of thousands for. And my client knows that when somebody's looking for a Seakeeper, they've got an expensive boat and they're willing to invest in their boat, right? So think about your target market. If you're not looking for people who've got yachts, leave that one out. But you could say, what's the difference between, what are the best outboard brands to have? And you might be a Suzuki dealer or a Yamaha dealer. And yeah, just be honest. I wouldn't try and sell anything that you've got, because if you become an expert and you say, I really like this about X brand, people will respect that, even if you don't sell it, right? So in my case, we had a customer call up and say, who are the best, or who are all the local executive headhunters in Seattle? And, I listed a few off, but she would have loved to have just Googled that, right? And, there's lots of national, but if you want to be the top in your city, you could list, the top 3 independent boat repair shops in, let's say, Chesapeake Bay, right? And if even if you lift yourself or leave yourself off that list, somebody who comes to your website will be like, oh, but what about Blackwater Marine? So building those lists, thinking of what people are going to Google is super important. And then also, you're super busy. Just doing a selfie, trying to hold that phone out, get a selfie stick if you have to, use a GoPro, but just doing a quick one and uploading that to YouTube. YouTube is one of the most used search engines, especially when it comes to boating, especially when it comes to haircuts and stuff like that. So using your phone and uploading something quick to, one of the main search engines like YouTube can be a great thing. So definitely recommend use what you've got, what you're working on at the minute, at the end of a repair, or you've got a client walking around a boat that, has just been detailed. Even if you outsource that detailing and you worked on putting a new motor on, walking around that with them and saying, how do you plan to use your boat? Where do you plan to go this summer? Those are the sort of things that I think get people excited about what happens in your business. And yeah, I mean, ever want to chat outboards? I was out on a friend's Grady White last weekend, had a great time, 200 horsepower, 400 horsepower boat. Not a huge one when it comes to, Miami or other places, but beautiful for pounding out off the West Coast, offshore fishing. We got a 50-pound fish. As you know, I'm psyched about that. And that's really what you want, the people who are really excited about their boats, about fishing, willing to spend tens of thousands of dollars with you to help you grow your business. All right, last question, going back to Joe in Naples, Florida. What goals for a sales marketing rep? Are there any formula a service-based business should be following? That's super good question. To me, the time to close is really important, right? So if you get a lead, I think if you don't call that sales lead within 5 minutes, they're likely to end up going to somebody else, right? So that's the biggest thing to me, is how responsive you are with in your sales process. So definitely the time over your whole sales process, but also your initial response when you get a marketing lead. Somebody fills out a form, calls you, leaves a voicemail. Calling them back is the number one differentiator these days, especially when people don't have enough staff. So really, how long it's going to take to close. And then, one of the things that you're thinking about is paying them 45 to 50 grand. Um, how much profit are you going to make per transaction, and what is the lifetime value of a customer, right? So if that sales marketing rep is working with real estate agents who, top real estate in your area, there might be only 20 top realtors who sell like 20 plus properties a year. So if you can get 10 of those and have a relationship with them, and you're getting 10 referrals or 5 referrals, so say you get 25% of that realtor's business, you can start to calculate what's the lifetime value of that referral relationship, right? So you can say, oh, I can make that investment. And you start to learn, hopefully, how long it takes them to close, or kind of keep in touch and start getting those referrals. So start to calculate, oh, it's worth me making this investment more in my sales rep. So maybe paying them a commission or a bonus, or I'm going to give them more materials. I'm going to invest some more money in the market materials, because I know the lifetime value of one of these really good referral real estate agents, because I'm planning to, on average, do business with them for 3 to 5 years, and they're referring those 5 clients a year to me, right? So just trying to figure out those numbers. Yeah, specifically in the home services business, I don't know how often people buy and sell houses and condos in the Naples area, but the lifetime value, you might get 3 sales. I mean, I've bought only 2 houses. I'm not planning to sell. My house is big enough that, I spend too much time mowing and doing the garden and stuff like that. But usually like 2 to 3 sales, right? So you're thinking about that lifetime value of a customer. So what are they doing to get that person the first time, and are they setting up some automation to get other referrals out of them or future business as well, right? So it's not just that initial sale. What are they doing long term to keep in touch with them? Are they setting up a quarterly email newsletter to homeowners just to keep you top of mind if their friends are buying, or if they're thinking about making a move and buying a new place, you'll be top of mind to them. So I hope that kind of gives you an idea. I really think a sales rep in that business, they should be making inroads into the market, getting new sales within about 3 months. I've got a friend who's got a business, and every time I see him, I'm like, "Oh, how's your salesman doing?" And he's like, "Oh, he doesn't really, I showed him how I got a sale. I got on the phone and I got a $50,000 sale, and I'm like, you know, it's been 3 months, it's been 6 months, it's actually been a year, and he's not paying for himself. It may be time to really cut that, right? Because if you know the sales cycle for when get in touch with a realtor to you getting referrals, you can get an estimate of how long it'll take them to ramp up. And yeah, it might take them twice as long for the first ones, but as they improve, hopefully they'll get 2 to 3 sales or referrals set up in the first 3 months. And then hopefully in the next 6 months, they'll get 10 set up, right? So you just want to see that building, and work with them on the numbers, right? I wouldn't hire an experienced sales rep and say, "Hey, here are your numbers. Here's what you're going to have to do," when you're not even sure. But I would say to them, "What do you think it's realistic in our first month? How many conversations would you like to be able to have on the phone?" And they say, "Oh, 5." Well, 1 month, at this rate, I'm currently doing 5. You're going to be dedicated to this, not doing any inspections, not dealing with any of these problems. I'd like to see you do 15. Is that all right? And then what do you think we should be able to get to in 3 months, right? And really push a little bit, right? Because salespeople, they can kind of be shifty. I'm a recruiter. We're told we're a little bit shifty. Really try and hold your salesperson to a number that's realistic and achievable, kind of those SMART goal mentality to get you to where the sales you want to go. 40 to 50K a year is a little bit, I think, low for an experienced salesperson. One of the things that I always think is pay low, commission high, right? Which might be tough if the margins aren't there. But if you're making, if you got good margins, after you pay yourself, you're still clearing, $300 per inspection. You can say, another 100 in your jeans, right? Really give them that incentive. Maybe make it realistic and say, "Hey, the first 5 in a month, that covers your base salary. From 5 to 10, I give you $50, right?" So give them that kind of stretch goals, but try and get paying out those commissions, because a really good salesperson, they'd like to see those checks. We're writing tens of thousands of dollars in commissions every month. It's almost equal to the base salaries that we pay out. And it's hard for me to write those checks. And sometimes I'm like, "Oh, but I'm not doing the work," right? So if we can get somebody else to do the work, and we can see both our bottom line and our top line growing, it's worth making those investments in salespeople. Awesome. Well, appreciate you guys spending this time with me. I hope my ranting about getting on the boat is inspiring. If you're not into that, you like walking your dog, you like, just watching something chill on Netflix. I've been watching a great series on Netflix recently. Enjoy that. Put out those stretch goals, grow your business, and definitely comment. Love you to reach out to me, drop me an email. I probably can't help a ton of people, but love to talk recruitment anytime, and love to talk about boating, fishing, and even kids. I've got 2 young kids, so love chatting with people. Talk to you soon. Thanks so much.